I suppose depending on the contractor, how they fit it into their work schedule. This would give them till June 30th next year.
Did we compare at all if we just put an extension of the current sidewalk on there? I mean, he took the old sidewalk off and,
Well, see, the trouble is there's nothing there to hold the sidewalk up.
okay.
It's a vertical face, the bridge, the arch bridge, and there's the street, there's about a 2-foot sidewalk and a guardrail, quote unquote, and then it's straight down. There's nothing really there to put it on.
Do we need to have that long of a culvert?
That allows us to have the sidewalk out at basically the normal distance from the street. I think we're 10 or 12 feet from the curb. And then it allows another 6 feet of lawn area before we start sloping down the ditch. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, the culvert has been sized to allow for what we feel are minimums. They're what we should have as far as, get bicycles going up and down the sidewalk. They need a little leeway along the side, so they don't drive by a drop off.
Is there sidewalk before and after the bridge along that street, on that side of the street?
On that
There's
side, yes,
sidewalks
there is.
on, because this actually, from the sidewalk, kind of turns in because it.
It does, yes.
Okay.
You know what I think we ought to do? I think we ought to wait on this until each and every one of us has gone over and looked at it a little bit better, because like I say, I've gone by it a lot, but I haven't ever seen it where I thought that there was a need, and I think before approving, at least myself, would like to go look at it and really. I understand that 18 inches, I don't know,
Not a very
maybe
big sidewalk.
it's not very wide, but
No.
I'm also not sure that, I can see this thing being over $100,000, and I don't know that we can't live with it the way it is for some period of time. So I would like to, I'd like to either ask for a delay. I'd like to see it myself, and I think all of us should.
Now, one thing to note there is there's no sidewalk on the east side of that block. So the only sidewalk is on this west side of the street.
Anywhere or just on the bridge?
Within, I don't know.
I know there
2 or
isn't
3
any
blocks,
south.
There's nothing on that east side.
There's nothing going south, I know.
Yeah.
that.
I'm not sure how
Well-
far north you have to go to pick up
Yeah.
a sidewalk on the east side.
I guess I'd like to look at
This is
it.
on the
At
west
least it's
side.
on the
Mike-
And perhaps I should have before this, but I.
What I would suggest,
Okay.
offer as a suggestion, this is just the public hearing portion. We wanted to have this discussion prior to the bids coming in.
Okay.
You have the right to stop the project, reject any and all bids at any time. If it's more than what you are comfortable with, that would be one way for you to, if you're uncomfortable with the project, when you have the facts as to what is it really going to cost.
Okay.
Understanding your concern, Mike, you aren't making a decision tonight other than holding the public hearing and
I
taking
got you.
comment.
I got you.
So I think it
So
would
we
be-
have time to look at it and
Absolutely.
then really base it upon what we see plus the information we get,
Right.
the cost.
But-
Okay.
Also, I'd like to have a hard copy of that. We seem to have a computer failure. I know them are rare, but
I don't think we had a copy of this.
I'll see that you have a
That
copy of
wasn't
all
on-
the plans.
It wasn't on the,
that's been-
Yeah, see,
no
mine's-
wonder we can't find it, Mike.
Yeah, well, there's,
Mike,
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Good thing for you to look at, or any other council people to look at when you get down there. Just go around the east side. Be careful going down the ditch. But the culvert extension that's on the east side, you can walk right in there. I'm sure it's probably going dry right now. But you
Okay.
can see the structure that's in place, and we're basically proposing the exact same thing on the other side of the road. And the thing, one of the reasons why you didn't notice this is on the east side, you don't notice it. It's just lawn going by there. And
Okay.
nothing sticking up, and you're by it before you know it.
Okay.
But if you look at that east side, that's exactly what we're proposing on the west side.
Does the
And
street,
then we're gonna add a sidewalk.
Yeah.
does the street narrow there a little bit too because of that sidewalk, the way it's as little as it
I believe
is?
it does. I think that curb line necks in just a little bit, but nothing,
that-
probably no more than a foot or two.
But that will be
I was gonna say
straightened out when you
something.
put the new sidewalk on, that'll kind of straighten that street
Yeah,
out.
we're probably gonna have to remove a little bit of curb there. We've allowed for that in the contract, so that we can, we need to remove some of the pavement to take the old bridge structure down below ground. We're gonna take it down about a foot. And then when we put in the new curb and gutter there, we'll probably try to bring it all in alignment with the rest of it.
Okay.
One problem I have, I'm not comfortable, companies, it takes money to put together their bids. I mean, takes time, and I'm always a little uncomfortable if the council's not really behind this project, which I'm kind of hearing some reservations on cost this year. Is it something that, I mean, do we want to do bids before we actually kind of maybe at a workshop go over this a little bit more after we've taken a look at, get a copy of the prints and go out and look at the site?
I
Has
agree with that,
anybody-
Bob,
has
but you know
anybody been
something
out to
else
the site?
I'd like to see,
No.
we,
I'm
we
just
as a
driving
council
across
didn't
it.
ask for
I haven't
anybody to do
walked.
this.
Yeah.
They just bring it in here with a dump truck, dumping us, we'll bid on it or don't bid on it.
It reminds me a little bit of the process and order that we had when we were talking about the Portage deal. I mean, we just never really had everything in sync, and
This
think
came
you're
up this
right.
summer as we looked at our bridges in general, and it was not tied directly to the bridge inspection, so I don't want to lead you down that path. But as we took a look at our bridges and the bridge guardrails, looking at the ones that needed paint, which ones were structurally sound or not, this one obviously, I mean, if you take a look at the guardrail, it very quickly rises to the guardrail is not sufficient. Something has to be done with that. We started out by looking at the guardrail saying, how do we fix this? Because paint isn't going to hold it.
Yeah.
And so we went to the next step of, we can put a new guardrail in. However, when you take a look at the lack of sidewalk when you get in there, and that's led us to the point of taking a look at where are we at with doing this the right way. If we're going to put money into it, we may as well resolve it the correct way.
When was that study done, Al?
Oh, we started in June. Looking at the bridges,
Yeah.
yes.
Don't you think the process should have been, come to the council and say, hey, this bridge here really needs some serious attention? Should we find a contractor or an engineer to look at this? Now we just get an engineer comes in and throws this thing on the table and said, here, we could do this. We don't even know there's anything needing to be done, really.
Well, it has been talked about, but more specifically, it has been through the Public Works Committee, which is, I understand to be the council's avenue to do it. So I apologize if you feel like it's a surprise. It was never intended to be a surprise.
Well, I know it's not intended to, a lot of things aren't, but there's so many things just identical to this come through this chamber, and we just don't, here it is, vote on it, and we're only talking $100,000, well, you add these 200,000, 100,000, pretty soon we're in some serious trouble, At least we should talk about it, A talking stage. That's my point.
I understand.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so we're basically not committed to anything, but just going
You're
through the
still
process
just
now.
public hearing right now
Okay.
discussing it, so nothing's been done after that
Okay.
since then.
Any other questions I can help you with?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Procedural question on this. If we want, rather than passing this and saying, okay, we're gonna take bids, and then we decide not to take the bids, we've got a workshop next Monday night.
Correct.
What's the procedure for not going to the bid stage out of this?
We don't have to go to the bid stage. If we come up on Monday night and say, we don't want to, we'll let Larry know based on consensus, because at a work session, we don't take action. I'll give him the heads up that that's where we're headed, and, we'll stop it.
And as
We-
for tonight, we just have to come out of the hearing and you don't vote on or make a motion to vote